Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Hashtag Sports. It's been a while. It's been a minute, but what better way to come back than the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens slugfest that happened last night? If you guys stayed up, kudos to you. We'd like to congratulate first and foremost our one of our coworkers here, Ryan, who's soon to be one of 300,000 people who said that they were at that game, just like the comeback game. So congratulations, Ryan.
I've got pictures to prove that I was at that game, my friend.
Man, we got Paul, we got me, we got Ryan. We got a lot of stuff to dive into tonight to examine the Buffalo Bills versus the Baltimore Ravens. Guys, thank you for joining us. As always, you can see all of our material on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. All episodes will be on iTunes and Spotify upon completion. You know what, guys? I am not even going to mince words. I'm done with the pleasantries. Enough foreplay. This defense sucks.
Ooh. Pretty bad, right?
This defense is all I looked at, with the exception, and I'll let you guys take the ball and run with it. With the exception of the first drive where the Ravens got 3 points, it was a 7-minute drive. They averaged 2 minutes and 5 seconds per scoring drive. Like 20-yard blitzes from the safeties. Oh my God, Paul, talk to me about it. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, Mario, what is there to say, right? A couple NFL records were set with this game. So some of them good, some of them bad. I will say it's nice to be on the positive side of an NFL record for once as a Bills fan. That's nice. But the reality is this was worst case scenario for Buffalo. We all knew it walking in this week. That this defense historically is just not going to man up particularly well. I think a lot of people looked at it and said, well, you beat the Ravens in the playoffs. Yeah, you sure did, right? Wing and a prayer, man. And here you had a full-on slugfest. Like, Ryan, to me, I watched a defensive line that did well in pass penetration, but when it came to trying to do anything against the run, the linebacking group was just completely overmatched. Like it looked like a high school football game where you have a high school team playing a college team. Like it was brutal when Baltimore wanted to run. They just 100% dominated the game, and there was nothing Buffalo was going to be able to do to stop them.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the defensive line played really well last night, and that front four, that rotation that they had. I mean, at one point, I saw in the rewatch, you don't see it great during the game, but I saw during the rewatch, at one point they went Epinesa on the end. They brought in TJ Sanders. They had Daquan Jones, and then they had Ed Oliver at the other end position. And it was just like, that's a tough package to deal with when you can trot that type of front out there against a team like Baltimore. The problem is what we've seen from a McDermott defense is undersized linebackers who, if those linemen can get to the second level, they just get washed out of plays. And you can't have that in the NFL, right? You can't have that against Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. You can't have Cole Bishop trying to tackle Derrick Henry in the open field. There's no safety in the league that's going to tackle Derrick Henry in the open field. And that's an unfair ask of McDermott in this defense to go out and say, hey, Cole Bishop, like, go do it, man. Right? Like, go 205 against a 215 Yeti moving downfield at 17 miles an hour. Like, good luck, kid. You can't have that. And Terrell Bernard, who plays really well in the middle, but much like we maligned Matt Milano back in the day, right? Like, he can't get these guards off of him. And that's a problem against a team like Baltimore. And you saw it last night where Derrick Henry had his way. They rushed for over 265 yards of offense between Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. And despite the defensive line playing really, really well, and I thought above what maybe I expected in week one, the linebacking core, just like, I mean, when you have to have Dorian Williams out there a lot, you're in trouble in the run game. And that's where they were last night.
Yeah, Williams netted himself by numbers 17 defensive snaps. Milano at 45. The guys, the snap count too is the one that just amazes me. Like, Allen, the offense had 85 plays. The defense had 51.
Yeah,
I mean, did anyone notice Milano out there? I didn't even realize he was out there for that many snaps.
No.
But that's another problem that hasn't been talked about, that I've heard at least, right? Like, I haven't heard anybody talking about the fact that Milano was largely absent last night.
Yeah. Well, normally, you guys know in McDermott's defense, McDermott, Babbage, however they're being run at this point, the secondary of all four starters played 100% of the snaps, pending injury. Teron Johnson had 34, and Milano and Bernard, Milano had 45. Bernard also played all of the snaps. So he was on there for every single play. Bernard came off when Dorian Williams came in certain packages. I don't know. No injuries to report, luckily.
Hey, listen, let's be respectful, Mario. That's Captain Terrell Bernard. Bills, I think, are running 2 captains this year instead of the 68 captains that they've had the last few seasons. Correct me if I'm wrong there, because I think
last year they did 2.
Photo.
Yeah, last year they did 2. This year they did 2. But before that, Bernard, it was like anybody and their brother.
Yeah, there was a lot. Like the moment I saw Tywan Jones as a captain a few seasons ago, I was like, man, this is never going to go away, is it?
It seems like McDermott's getting that. Yeah, McDermott's doing that through the coin toss this year. Like he's trotting through. I think there were 3 different guys. None of Allen or Bernard were out there for the coin toss last night. It was McGovern, I think, and a couple other guys. So it was just kind of a weird makeup.
Well, you got 2 former captains on the practice squad right now. I mean, I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. You guys saw Drew and I go back and forth about that nonsense last week.
Yeah, I don't. We can get into that if you guys want to get into that. The back and forth of the resurgence of certain players coming back on this team, but flipping it over to, the offensive side of the ball. Script. I think Brady stayed on the script a little too long, because the Ravens started to go away with it a little bit. And then once he started to get off script and take a little bit of the handcuffs off of Josh, Josh played a phenomenal game last night. You can't really fault a lot of the things that he did. Putting the ball placement, decision-making, a bunch of those. Obviously some things, turning out well for him. Obviously the tip pass that just lands in Coleman's hands in the end zone. You can't, on a 4th down play. Some of the calls we can get into, but Ryan, what do you think that this did? Did this basically confirm a lot of the naysayers from last year's MVP voting about Josh Allen, say this is the guy, he is the MVP now, he solidified it with this one game? Or do you think that it's one of those things where, he always plays well against Baltimore? What do you think that is going to be the outcome of that?
Well, he doesn't always play well against Baltimore, right? Like last year, week 4, that was a bad game. That was a bad game from Josh. Last season. So I think it's recency bias, and I think you can kind of do with the narrative what you want, right? Like Bills fans are going to say, "See, our guy went out and won. Our guy was superhuman in the 4th quarter, and with the game on the line, he went out and took the game away." And Ravens fans are going to look at it and go, "Well, Lamar played good enough to win. If Henry hadn't have fumbled, and if Harbaugh had a sack and went for it on 4th down, 4th and 3, in the 4th quarter, we win that football game and Lamar plays well enough and then our guy wins," right? So I think this is going to be a season-long thing between these two, back and forth, with Josh going for his 2nd straight MVP, Lamar trying to make it 3 in 4 seasons. And everybody, by all accounts, says collision course between these two in the playoffs, right? Well, I think they came out. These two looked like the 2 best football teams in the NFL this week, and I think through week 1, it's Buffalo and Baltimore, 1-2 in the power rankings, and it's going to be a constant battle. The thing that Buffalo has going for them that Baltimore doesn't is this is probably the hardest team that Buffalo is going to play for quite some time. They don't have a really hard schedule in front of them for quite a while, where Baltimore has some challenges coming up, right? Baltimore has to play Cleveland coming up soon, and they have to play Kansas City coming up soon. They have Philadelphia on their schedule this year. So it'll be interesting to see what Lamar does. But I think, to your point, Mario, Josh is +1 on the season right now over Lamar. That was a superhuman effort last night.
Yeah, to piggyback your point, the Bills are at the Jets, against the Dolphins and Saints and Patriots at home, and then they're at the Falcons and Panthers before they play the Chiefs at home. So
yeah, you could envision being undefeated going to that Chiefs game, right? It's not it's not even a stretch necessarily. You should be undefeated going into that, because we all watched all of those teams play this week, right? We all watched those teams play, and they're all really bad football teams. Like, I have no idea what's going on in Miami. It's fun to watch, but I have no idea what's going on. Like, McDaniel might not even have a job by the time that they come to Buffalo, and that's in 2 weeks. So
it's bad.
Yeah, this game was wild in respect to the over on this was 50, and the Bills scored 41. And the Baltimore scored 40. Like, they almost doubled the over. Like, this was a wild game to be a part of. But while I was watching the game, the MVP conversation is, of course, the thing that comes to everybody's mind, as a Bills fan, kind of being defensive of Josh Allen. And the difference for me was I didn't watch Lamar lead his team down the field. I watched Derrick Henry suck the soul out of every Bills fan at one Bills drive for 42 minutes. That's what I watched.
Lamar had one memorable play, right? He had that one play in the fourth quarter where Bosa and Epinesa had him dead to rights. Yep. And he scrambled out and made just an amazing run that probably he's the only one in the NFL that can do that. But besides that, Paul, I mean, good point. Like, he didn't really have any splash plays in this game. I mean, all of his receivers that he threw to were wide open. Like, Mario could have made those throws, right? Like, I'm not going to say I could make them, but Mario probably could have made them. But when you have Derrick Henry,
appreciate it.
When you have Derrick Henry that rushes for 170 some odd yards, whatever he had, like, you're going to be in that football game. And you probably should win it.
He averaged 9.4 yards a carry on 18 carries. It's just absurd numbers, right? Like, those are games you don't lose. I mean, that's just the facts. Those are games you don't lose.
He's creeping up on his high school numbers,
which is unbelievable.
We talked about that in the group chat. He's still like a solid 500 yards off of his high school total.
High school numbers
through 9 seasons.
Yeah, that's absurd,
guys. Go ahead, Paul. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I think what we saw from Buffalo's offense was, I know they ran with the everybody eats thing, but Keon Coleman against Jair Alexander, I just didn't expect Keon to be much of a factor in the game, but he was the go-to. Like, he was the guy that Josh really leaned on. And, I think with the recent retirement of Amari Cooper, and everybody's always like, no, you got to get a, Cooper involved. You got to get Cooper involved. Maybe that year of having that meat shield of Cooper there kind of helped Keon a little bit, right? Because Keon looked, for everything he did, he looked dialed in. And I think that was probably amongst the problems from Keon's rookie year was he just wasn't dependable. You couldn't ever depend on him to win his routes. And he won his routes against Alexander had 7 interceptions last year. He was second in the league in interceptions. Like, he went against a ball hawk yesterday, and there were a lot of times where he made Alexander look foolish.
Yeah, that's the best secondary they're going to face, I think.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
A long time.
Yeah, absolutely. And it started like with Keon in that second drive where Josh threw that snap screen to him, like right off the bat, and it went just right through his hands. And it's just like, oh my God, here we go again with this kid, right? Like, and Josh largely went away from him for a while after that. If you watch the game back, I watched it back today. He went away from him for quite a while after that play. So it's like, geez, you already can't trust this kid. Like, we're back at where we were last year. And then it just seemed like a switch flipped in the third quarter. And it was that, like, midway through the fourth quarter, like maybe 12 minutes, it was a drive that wound up in nothing. But Josh threw that high ball, and Keon kind of climbed the ladder along the sideline and went up and got it, got hit, came down, retained it. And it was like from that point on, the kid was just unstoppable. Everything they threw his way, he caught, including that tip ball in the end zone, which was just, I mean, amazing. Like, I don't even know how he caught that ball. Like, that's the ultimate tip drill type of play, but those tend not to happen. And Josh is really lucky it got tipped, because that ball was headed right for Shakir, who was blanketed in the end zone. And if had Knox not gotten a finger on that, that probably falls incomplete and that game's over.
Absolutely. Yeah, there was a little bit of luck obviously involved in there. We talked about Henry and his impact on the game. Obviously, the guy's an absolute monster. Seems like he gets stronger as the game goes on, minus the fumble that he had.
He's 31.
Yeah. That's not fair. He's still a monster. But here's the thing that got me. Let's go over to the Buffalo Bills running back for 1 second. Mr. I want to get paid, gets paid. With the exception of the first drive of the fourth quarter, I didn't see a lot of James Cook in the pressure moments of the game when the Bills were actually coming back.
But how unique is that?
Does that concern you? Does that concern you, though?
That's the same thing we saw last year. Like, am I crazy?
he upped his numbers
Yeah.
this year. He actually played 56% of the snaps. He had 48 snaps out of the 85.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
but
I think Paul, to your point, like Mario, I think Mario's right here, right? Like last year we saw it. So I guess if you assume things were going to be the same from last year, yeah, it shouldn't be a surprise. But when you pay a guy that kind of money, I think you expect his usage rate to go up, right? I don't know why you would not expect his usage rate to go up after signing a huge deal like that. But yet in crunch time, it was Ty Johnson and not James Cook. So that leads the question of like, well, what are we doing here then? Right? Like why did you have to pay this kid what he thought he was worth or close to it if you're just going to go to Ty Johnson when things are tough? Like rinse, repeat, just go get another guy like Ty Johnson if things get tough. So yeah, I mean, I was a little surprised to not see more of him. He wound up with 18 touches. And he had that one play that was a really good, play that Collinsworth wanted to credit to Josh. But besides that, I mean, he was kind of like Lamar. Like I didn't see anything from Cook that was a standout.
Josh hasn't had an easier read in any time in his college career.
But if you ask Collinsworth, he checked into that read.
Yeah, you check. Yeah, you replace the. I've heard Mario say this for 12 years.
Yep,
you replaced the blitzer, right? Yep. That's all he did. He just, just gave it a little alley-oop. That's it.
Well, JJ McCarthy just tried to do that and he threw a pick six. So, maybe it's not as easy as we all think.
I think as fans, right? I think we're all kind of a prisoner to the moment there. When James Cook signs a contract, you're like, oh, he's finally gonna, he's really gonna perform this year. Like he had 16 touchdowns last year. Like he tied Derrick Henry for touchdowns. Like, let's just be honest about it. It wasn't the usage numbers. It was the scoring numbers that made James Cook so dangerous last year.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's on pace for 17 touchdowns this year. So. Yeah,
right. True story. But the fact of the matter is the snap counts aren't necessarily tied to, because this is also a running back who struggles to catch the ball at times and has put the ball on the turf quite a bit. Right. Mm-hmm. So I'm okay limiting usage here because even though they made an investment in him, just because you're spending dollars, that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be playing 75% of your snaps. Look at the body of James Cook and tell me if he could take 75% snaps in the NFL. I'm willing to bet that Buffalo's going to say, listen, we're going to squeeze every dollar out of this 3-year contract and we're going to play you 55% of the snaps.
But I mean, you could have made the argument last year that there were some games that got away. So therefore his numbers were down because they had already had the game won. No reason to put your back out there to get him hurt or grind him down or whatever. But Paul, as well as I do, and Ryan as well, they pay you for what you're going to do in the NFL, not what you did. So the fact is 55% of the snaps, a lot of people will look at that and say, that's kind of low for the kind of money you're giving that guy. But then again, you look at the other side of the ball. Traditionally, they used to pay defensive linemen to play 50% of the snaps, 40% of the snaps, and they would pay them millions of dollars too. And we never blinked an eye at that. So it's interesting to see the dynamic when you switch it over to a running back position versus a defensive tackle or a defensive end. So, and I think that if I want to give you guys those counts, I think Bosa played 68% of the snaps, Oliver 68 as well. I mean, Solomon, Epineza, and Sanders all played 31%.
Watching Joey Bosa chase Derrick Henry down the field was just so maddening in the first half of that football game.
Oh my God! Set the edge, brother. Set the edge.
I know. I do want to call out.
There was one play where he did set the edge. I mean, he did a really good job on Lamar. It was kind of him and Lamar in the open field. And Bosa just kind of broke him down until Milano came and cleaned it up. But
it was the fourth time he did it, though.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
But hey, could have been the game, right?
Steve Hampton brings up a great point. He said James Cook was running into walls of men 95% of the time last night. Henry had a run late in the game where there was no gap, and he just paused and waited a second, and he was gone. That was it. Just paused, wait, go. And that is something that 9 years in the NFL teaches you, that it's not about running as hard as you can into the wall of men in front of you, right? And it was frustrating at times to watch James Cook be impatient, right? Like if he doesn't have space to work with, I don't think he's a top tier back, right? if you get him in space, there's an argument that he's a top tier back in the NFL. But unless you're generating that space for him, he's not patient enough to wait for it yet. And I feel like now that you're on a second contract, you need to be running back should be patient by the time they hit their second contract. And now that you're there, right, you need to expect a little bit more patience out of James Cook. And that's why, like, watching players like, Le'Veon Bell was a master at that. He'd get to the line and just stand there and wait and wait and wait. And then boom, he's gone. And we're just not going to see that out of James Cook, at least not this year from the looks of it. And I think that's probably where some of my concerns over the contract get to me a little bit, right? I just want to see the man be just a tad bit more patient because he can be very explosive. And, it's just that's the frustrating part of this offense to me, right?
Yeah,
it certainly wasn't how they spread the ball around.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought they did a great job.
Is built. Like it's I love the point that you made where you said he needs to have it schemed for him to get in the open field. He can't create that for himself. And normally when you get to your second contract, you've already learned how to do that. And it's you said it perfectly. That's going to be a frustrating thing all year. And it's going to be something that's going to be on the shoulders of Brady and Allen pretty much the whole year. But Ryan, I think this one's for you. You love these type of questions here. If Henry was on the Bills, what kind of player does Josh become? If Henry was on the Bills?
Is that Mario? Is that like the most intimidating like power option, like read option, like even worse than Lamar and Henry have become from an RPO standpoint, right? Like Josh and a running back like that he can just hand the ball to. Like that's playground type stuff where they just run like a power I. They go back to the triple option.
You could have 3 number 2s on your team at receiver if you wanted.
Oh God, this argument
receivers.
Again.
Who needs a receiver on this team? Like with Derrick Henry and Josh Allen, just go get all the tight ends, right? Like just go get Mercedes Lewis out of retirement. Let him go block, fall down in front of somebody. Like, I mean, talk about like the fullbacks, right? Like you'd have like Gilliam would be a thing in this offense with Derrick Henry.
I'm going to mute him. I'm going to mute him in a minute.
I think the fact that to Paul's point, like with Cook and the type of runner that he is, it's Josh has been forced to move into these passing situations late in games because, when it comes to like Baltimore, Philadelphia, like those types of guys of teams, when you're down 15, like they can hand the ball off, right? Like those teams can hand the ball off and be productive because they're going to go get 6-7 yards. When Buffalo's down games, they can't go to Cook. He's not that type of runner. To Paul's point, he's not patient enough. Late in games when you're pressing and you're chasing points, like you're not opening holes like you normally do right on the offensive line. Guys are tired. Guys are worn down. So I think the fact that he doesn't have a guy like Derrick Henry that he can lean on in the running game, and it becomes Josh's the running game in these late game scenarios, like that's what's allowed him to turn into this MVP caliber player. The fact that he's never had a good running back behind him, let alone aside from Diggs, never really had a top tier wide receiver. But it's kind of forced him to become this quarterback that he's never been before, which is this guy that can wing it all over the field and throw for 150 some odd yards in the fourth quarter and like go win a football game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Lamar had multiple seasons without Derrick Henry, but just the maturation of Josh, I think, is completely hampered if you have a unicorn of a running back, right? Like the attraction of Josh, the running back, right? Josh, the mobile quarterback, I think was a very dangerous thing to overcome for him because he was very dangerous when he wasn't passing the football. So it had to be. It had to take a lot of fortitude to say, no. This is where I need to be. I'm not where I need to be here as an athlete or as a leader for my team. I have to perform better here. I expect more of myself and to challenge yourself like that because Josh was dangerous when he wasn't a top level passer. I did get frustrated with Josh yesterday when he overthrew Palmer in the corner of the end zone because he threw the ball 8,000 miles an hour. And I yelled at the TV. Yeah, I yelled at the TV like an old man. And I said, this is where Josh struggles when he presses. He throws the ball through people. right? Like he just throws the ball dead into people. He's got to throw the next pass with touch. Like you have to be a better player than that. And then he throws a beautiful touch pass that Ty Johnson can't come down with. Yeah. And I felt like an idiot for yelling at the TV and looking like a crazy person.
Yeah. As we got Hoffman's coming in. The first half play calling, I thought Ken Dorsey had hijacked the playbook after that first drive. It's interesting because I got a little bit of a different take on that. It's a lot of times, and one of the things that they mentioned on the broadcast, which I don't listen to a lot of the broadcast, but one of the things that was true was Allen was getting the ball out of his hands extremely fast. Yet he still had a lot more time to set up or do something else or get off another read in order to go to another player. I think he started to realize that later into the second half. But what you did effectively by doing all those quick passes, you don't have that pass on the sideline to Palmer if you're not running all those quick throws in the first half. So what happens is, defense starts to creep up. They want to try to jump some of those quick timing patterns that Josh was doing. And then what happens? He gets the one-on-one matchup that he wants with Alexander. He runs the flag route. Josh drops it in the bucket. You get a huge gain and swing the field back over to the other side. And that doesn't happen if you don't have those set plays, the script, if you will, in the first part of the game where he's doing all those quick throws. So while you may be frustrated with how it kind of played out in the first half with some of the play calling, a lot of those plays that are called in those first 12 to 15 plays will set up eventually big plays that happen later in the game. So I love that question though.
Yeah, there's another question that I want to get to real quick. Flash movie trivia. Did the Bills do anything on offense that was an improvement on last season? I mean, tale of two halves, right? Like I think Buffalo had a tendency to like defensively depend on second half adjustments and offensively did something similar. I was a little worried about that one, right? So, I mean, I guess we'll say second half adjustments on the offense looked good. Like I
thought they did a much better job of attacking the boundary tonight or last night than they did last season. And Mario, I mean, I don't know if maybe it's the evolution of Keon and that trust level kind of like as the game went on. But I thought it was interesting that both Keon and Palmer had some like boundary passes come their way where last season, I don't remember a lot of boundary throws that I had very much confidence in. And Josh had the one, the Keon, there were actually a couple to Keon that wound up, kind of caught it and got out of bounds real quick. He had the one that he climbed the ladder. They threw the fade route, the back shoulder on the 2-point conversion. Like that wasn't a thing they would have done last year. It didn't work out. I didn't love the play call, but those weren't calls that they would have gone last year. I think next time they run that, he's going to throw that ball higher, right? And like Keon's just going to go get it. That's going to be something he'll see in the tape. And then he had the one ball to Palmer down the sideline where it was just kind of like a drop over, it's kind of a teardrop play along the sideline that set them up into field goal range before they hit Keon in that crosser. And then they were able to milk the clock out. Like, I don't remember them going to the boundary that much last year. It seemed like they were making a conscious effort with those two, Keon and Palmer specifically, to get to the boundary. And I like that dynamic to the offense. They even did that with Kincaid late in the first half where they kind of went down and got points, right? They threw that boundary play to him where he caught it and ran out of bounds with 1 second left. Those weren't plays that I saw last year from this team. And I think back to the play calling aspect that Paul talked about a little bit, Mario, was this an opportunity for Brady to, was he trying to find out what works with this offense like in week one because he didn't really get a chance to run much with the first team in the preseason? Like, was this his way of kind of exploring in that first half? Like, what can we do? What weapons do we have? What plays can work? I mean, is that maybe why things were stale a bit in the first half?
I think what he did was he took a look at the outside corners, and you got Alexander out there and you got a rookie. The power of this, the Ravens defense, because I think it's going to be game specific. If we see it again, it'll just be because you have stud linebackers and stud safeties in the game, and that's what Baltimore preys on. They have really good linebackers and they have really good safeties. So what were they doing a lot? Maybe it was Baltimore even drinking the Kool-Aid. The fact that you probably had Kincaid and Shakir, and if you have those four guys, you have Kincaid, Shakir, Palmer, who's just new to the team, and Keon, who only had 29 catches last year, who are you going to focus more on to try to take away from Josh initially? You're going to focus on taking away Shakir, who catches 98% of his passes, and Kincaid down the middle. So you have Kincaid occupy those mid-range routes, and then you have Shakir kind of go a little bit deeper to try to occupy the safeties, therefore opening up the sidelines a little bit more. And if you hit those sidelines, then that ultimately opens up the middle again. So I think what Brady was trying to do effectively was, listen, let me try to get some quick hitters at the start of the game. Let's see what works, what doesn't, where they're playing us, what's going on. Are they going to switch to that too? Because anytime Baltimore played that cover one, Josh ate it up. So eventually when they started to switch back to two, that's when Josh Allen and Palmer and Keon started to work those sidelines a little bit better, because now those guys are out on islands because they're occupying all the middle of the field. So, I mean, if they can continue to win those one-on-one battles, which I believe Palmer can, and we saw Keon do it against arguably the best secondary in the league, it's going to be a fun year to watch these guys. But they can't be winning these games 45-40, 50-49 and stuff. They can't do that. This defense needs a lot of help.
So, Mara, to your point, right? I think, and Ryan, I think you hit the nail on the head, right? If you're game planning, you're just saying, listen, Marlon Humphrey and Kyle Hamilton are a problem, right?
Mhm.
Like they will kill somebody, right? You're not deep enough at receiver to let somebody die week one.
Humphrey almost took Kincaid's head off on that touchdown. If you see, he kind of pulled up,
Right.
but I mean, he could have taken his head off. Yeah.
But Baltimore, those safeties aren't quick enough to get to the boundaries to be help right away, which I think is probably the idea there, to Mario's point. You know, I think if you're not doing that, you don't get the Hawes catch down at the goal line.
No.
Right? Like you don't get that. The reason you got that play was because you were able to force those safeties off to the sides, right? Off to Keon and off to Palmer. So that Hawes play was set up by 30 minutes of football already, right? Like that's where that play came from. And you're not going to see that often, right? Like the fact that Hawes mattered was shocking in its own right. That was one hell of a catch, by the way. Real time wasn't that impressive. Slow motion, that catch was impressive. That's a highlight. I mean, that's a career highlight. Real catch.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a great catch just in a vacuum, right? But then add the moment and add the fact that like you're a rookie and you're getting called on in this moment to catch the football when you've been dibbed like the extra offensive lineman, right? Like that's why they drafted him, was so that they wouldn't have to try Alec Anderson out there as the sixth offensive lineman and have absolutely no way to become multidimensional with him on the field, right? Jackson Hawes gives them the ability to be multidimensional. And you saw exactly what that looks like with that singular play. And the fact that he came down with it, I think they probably, if I'm a play caller, Mario, like I'm probably going to start trying to get those types of plays more integrated into the offense, right? Bring this kid in, give a heavy look, and run a pass play out of it. And imagine what that does to these teams, like these defenses that are trying to prepare for this offense, where it's like, hey, if 70 comes on the field, gee, I wonder what they're going to do, right? But then they try Hawes out there, and it's like, oh, like they can do a lot of different things out of this set. So him, you got Hawes, Knox, Kincaid, and Cook all in the field at the same time. It's like, what do you even do? Like, what type of defense do you run against that, one? And two, are you really going to leave linebackers lined up against Knox and Kincaid? And if you're going to bring in a nickel package, like they're just going to run the ball at you. So I think that's going to be an interesting thing that Hawes catch kind of in and of itself allows them to do going forward.
That catch, like you guys said, it was amazing, but it also speaks to the maturity of Allen. I don't think he throws that to a rookie 2-3 years ago. I don't think he does. I think he probably runs it or tries to do something else. I think that's fair. Yeah, I think that's fair. And both of those throws, by the way, so the touchdown to Kincaid and that throw to Hawes, the other evolution of Josh is those were both at Kyle Hamilton. Like those were at the best defensive player on the field. And Josh did not give a shit who was on the guy. It's like, I'm going to him. I have faith. I can get it there. I have faith that they're going to catch it, and I don't care who's covering them. And I think that's again, got to be scary for a lot of defenses, because I think a lot of offenses come into Baltimore and they try to avoid Kyle Hamilton, right? And Josh did not. He had a touchdown and he had a game-flipping pass play
both of them at, again, an all-world, probably the best safety in the NFL. And I think that's a huge statement against, for these defenses to get ready for. That Josh is he's always played not scared. And like now if he's shifting into like, I'm playing not afraid, like that's a different dynamic that teams I think have to come to grips with.
Is Hawes wearing Lee Smith's number? 85?
Is he?
Yeah, I think he's 85, right?
Yeah.
Stop.
I think Lee Smith was
85. Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
Lee Smith, dominating tight end. Every once he'd leak out for 6 yards because that's all time would allow. He'd leak out there for those 6-yarders, right? And everybody go, oh shit, he can catch.
I'm pretty sure Mike Vrabel had more catches than him. Paul, you kind of answered this in the chat, but there was a hot take coming in from Corey saying, I think DeMar Hamlin would have played better than Cole Bishop last night.
I was trying to be professional in my response.
No, that's I knew that response was coming out of you.
I didn't think Bishop was the worst safety on the field last night for Buffalo. I thought Rapp was
Rapp took some very bad angles.
Bad angles. Yeah, it was bad angles.
That last Derrick Henry touchdown run, like woof. Like that was a Jordan Poyer-esque angle that he took on that.
I thought Rapp was hurt because Henry blew by him so fast. Like I didn't realize Rapp was that slow. Like, don't get me wrong. Like Henry had, 35 yards of headroom on him, but he blew by Rapp, and I was like, I can't believe Rapp's that slow.
Corey, I'll give you a hot take on Hamlin. I blame Hamlin for Bishop's performance last night because if the Bills didn't play Hamlin all last year and they played Bishop all 17 games, could he have been any worse than Hamlin was last year? And he would have had that continuity with Rapp already coming into the season.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think if you want to look at the impact of Bishop and probably what impact he'll have on the season going forward, Mark Andrews was on the field for 38 snaps. He had 1 catch for 5 yards. They did a really good job against Mark Andrews, who by and large, this was a quote revenge game. And I think they wanted to try to get him involved because they went to him on that first drive. And it was that 1 5-yard catch that he didn't do anything the rest of the game. And I think, right, if you remember right with Bishop, like that's why they liked Bishop, right? Like because he could cover those tight ends. And that was the big thing, right? He covered Kincaid at Utah in practice, and Kincaid raved about how good he was. I mean, Mark Andrews 1 catch for 5 yards. And Teron Johnson wasn't on the field all the time. And when he was, he by and large wasn't lined up against Mark Andrews. I think that was the impact of Bishop. And yeah, I mean, to Spin's point, like we talked about that at the opening of the show, like there's not a safety in the NFL, and Kyle Hamilton's included in that list, that's going to tackle Derrick Henry in that situation. Like it's not going to happen. We've seen this story too many times to think that Cole Bishop's going to go out and make that tackle.
Yeah.
Maybe he thought he was going to make that tackle, but
if you haven't looked at Derrick Henry's high school stats, you should, right? So we alluded to it earlier, but think of how many children quit football after playing him in high school.
How many promising NFL careers were ended in high school?
Oh, yeah.
Because of Derrick Henry's 12,000-yard high school career.
We have Olympic swimmers because of Derrick Henry.
He scored 155 touchdowns in 4 years.
That's not
155.
That's
he has 700 more rushing yards in 4 years than he has in the 9 seasons he's played in the NFL, and he's rushed for 2,000 yards in the NFL twice.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, but we go back to this, and there's a name we haven't mentioned yet tonight, and it is Ryan's favorite name. But number one, the further we get away from Poyer and Hyde as the safety tandem that came in with McDermott, we start to see how they are missed. Number one, because they were able to communicate and do great things back there, and they were amazing. And number two, we see now in back-to-back games, counting the Kansas City game last year and this game, you're giving up a ton of points. And albeit they were able to stop the Ravens 3-and-out and causing a fumble against Derrick Henry, who that's his 4th fumble in the last 628 touches, by the way. McDermott needs to do something, because this cannot be the theme of the year, of the entire season, or he's going to turn Josh Allen into Dan Marino, where he's just the guy will throw 4 touchdowns, run for 2 others, and lose his games. like, what are we doing here? Like, that defense needs to have it figured out and figured out quick before you start to get into some of these teams that can really kick you in the mouth and develop leads that are insurmountable.
I, I don't know, Mario. Like, they were down 15 with 4 minutes left and they won the football game. Like, how good does this defense have to be? Right. Like, and I think this is a broader question. Last night's game, like, how many times did we see Kansas City win that football game? Like, how many times have we watched Patrick Mahomes do exactly what Josh Allen did last night and just walk teams down, and his defense did just enough, right? Like, Ed Oliver goes out and gets that fumble, like, just enough, man. I don't need you to stop on every drive. I need you to make one play, right?
Well,
and they made one play.
The difference is Kansas City got the #1 seed last year because of the defense, not because of their quarterback play. And
yeah, but before then, how many seasons was it in spite of the defense up until
he had a few top 10 defenses that he played with? But I mean, I understand your point where you're trying to make, but I mean, they made the plays when they had to make them. I understand. I wasn't looking for a blowout. I wasn't looking for them to shut them down, but you'd be remiss if you didn't see that there are gaping holes in this defense that Ed Oliver himself overcame last night. He played an absolute stud of a game.
No, under no circumstance should your defensive tackle be second on the team in tackles. No. Under no circumstance. That can never happen again. You can't.
I mean, that's also Ed Oliver
like good on Ed Oliver, right? Like, good on him. Like, that's why you pay him that money. But the fact of the matter is you cannot have a defensive tackle be second on your team in tackles. That's a terrible recipe.
I mean, that's also arguably the best offense that they're going to see this season.
No doubt. No.
Too, right? Like you've got Cincinnati in December. Like, what's that team going to look like by then? I mean, by all accounts, they looked bad this week, but I mean, Burrow and that receiving core. I mean, all it takes is one, right? And they can flip it on. They can go for.
I remember Cincinnati whooping this team's ass in cold weather football. So.
And they got Philadelphia late in the season. But arguably this might be the best offense and defense combined, both that they've played all season, that they will play all season.
Mario, what are you doing to me?
No,
we're gonna have a glaze fest for Ryan and Jabrill Peppers.
No. I am. Well, listen, Paul, you know that after 12 years, that what happens in mainstream sometimes spills over into hashtag, and we try to be as objective as possible. This is now the elephant in the room that everyone's talking about and has been talking about even prior to this game. Mm-hmm. It's on your favorite radio station, guys. What is your guy? And I want Paul, I want you to kick it off. Jabrill Peppers, because we know what Ryan's going to say here, but we know the attitude and the philosophy of McDermott and this team and how team building and the roster and the locker room culture always drives this team to do things that we didn't think that he could do. So just tell me your take on Jabrill Peppers. Is it a realistic possibility money-wise, or is it something that it's just people just screaming at the heavens, I want a different safety on this team other than what we have?
Right now? I think this is just people praying for something different to matter, right? Like, that's, don't get me wrong, Jabrill Peppers is one hell of an athlete. So from an athlete perspective, we know this team always goes on athletes. But, I mean, we're talking about an athlete who's been in the league for quite a long time now. Like, I think you're on the other side of the apex of his career. I'm not in on Jabrill Peppers in any form or fashion. If you're going to practice squad him and cut Poyer, then I'm fine with that. You can do that. That's fine.
Somebody will take him. Trust me.
Yeah. But no, I'm on the other side of Jabrill Peppers.
All right, Ryan. What is your take?
Yeah, I mean, Mario, there's, like you said at the start, right? Like, there's no indication from this front office and this coaching staff that they have any desire to go out and add a guy like Jabrill Peppers, right? Like, and let's not, I mean, you know how I am, like, go get a guy, right?
Yeah.
But is Jabrill Peppers at 29 years old, who just got cut by a team that doesn't have a lot of talent and has not gotten picked up yet by anyone, like, what's he look like in workouts? Like, what's he look like in training camp? It's not because he's out there causing a scene, because if he was causing a scene, like, we would have heard that Jabrill Peppers is causing a scene. So New England's just going to part ways with him. Like, New England doesn't have a lot of talent. Like, we watched this football game this week, right? Like, everybody watched that game. Like, they don't have a lot of talent, especially on the defensive side of the football. I don't know that they would get rid of Peppers if he still had gas in the tank. And I think that Bills fans do this a lot. And I'm guilty of it sometimes, but I like to believe that I have, my head screwed on straight in most cases. But I think they remember what Jabrill Peppers was when he played in Cleveland and the couple of times that they saw him play against Buffalo when he was with New England. But again, a 29-year-old safety who just got cut by a team with a dearth of talent. Like, how good is he? I don't even know. And I think we can trust from a secondary perspective. Like, if there's one thing you can trust about McDermott, like, it's to analyze talent in the secondary and decide if a guy can be impactful or not. I mean, he found Poyer and Micah Hyde and resurrected their careers. And I think people look at that and they're like, oh, Jabrill Peppers, he'll do the same thing with him. And I don't think that's realistic. And there's nothing to indicate that he has any intention of going away from Rapp and Bishop as the safety duo for any length of time. Like, this will be your safety duo until the wheels completely fall off. And I'm not sure that that's going to happen with the teams that they have in front of them.
Yeah, people will get very, very, and we're guilty of it, get very, very nostalgic. And you're 100% right. They'll see what the player he was when he came into the league, and that's just not who he is anymore. And I think it would take, to answer like the question, like, what puts Peppers on this team? I think you need to have a litany of injuries that happen. Maybe not so much to the safety tandem, but to like Teron Johnson and Lewis goes out.
Annual Teron Johnson.
Yeah, you have something like that
injury,
where you need a guy that has to play in the box in a nickel package. And I think Peppers, maybe at 29, if I'm speaking candidly, he probably could play. He probably could give you a year in the box. That's probably about it. I don't trust him on the top end, the back end of the defense at all. My eggs were in the Jeremy Chin basket during the summer.
I mean, I think timing's everything. Peppers is still going to wait around until someone needs a starter. I think I think everyone who's like, go get Jabrill Peppers and put him on the practice squad, like, they're, that's a two-way street, man. And I don't think he has any desire at his age. Like, I say 29 as he's old, but he looks at 29. He's like, I got a few good years left in me on the field. I'm not Jordan Poyer. I don't have to settle for a practice squad job where I'm mentoring guys, right? Like, I'm a guy that's going to come in and play. And I think we've seen that guys like that will eventually get picked up by somebody, or they will sit for so long that they're just like, okay, I guess I'm not that. And now I'm going to go into training camp next year and compete for a job instead. But I don't think he's looking for a job unless he's going to walk on the field and play the majority of snaps.
Yeah. One last paycheck too. Like, to send him off into the sunset. I believe that as well. Yeah.
I really think that Jabrill Peppers kind of still rides the coattails a little bit of the fact that when he came in, they're like, oh, we could also use him as a running back. Right. Like,
I remember that. Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. So I think there's still,
he was Travis Hunter before Travis Hunter.
Yeah. So, but there is,
he's no Miles Jack.
Let's not go.
Don't you speak ill of Miles Jack?
Let's not go down this road.
How dare you, sir?
Bills fan 21 said it took Hyde and Poyer like 3 or 4 years before they were good. I will contest that. I will say 2. Their first season together would have been the 9-7 season with Tyrod, right? That was their first season. So not a great season, but that also wasn't a very good team. So, I think their first season together kind of gets covered up by the fact that the team generally wasn't very good, but was winning games they probably shouldn't have, especially with Tyrod at quarterback. And then again, you get another season of Hyde and Poyer playing together with Josh's rookie season, right? That was the Nate Peterman week 1 debacle the following year. Like, so it's to that point, right? Hyde and Poyer, I think we talk about their tenure as being this amazing tenure. The first couple of years were pretty bumpy, but the talent on the team wasn't very good. And I think it gets covered up by the storyline of, oh, that was the first year that was the year the Bills broke the drought. That doesn't mean they were good. They weren't. Right. No. And then the following year, you have Josh. The Bills weren't very good that year either. Right.
No. So he got hurt for like 4 games.
Yeah. I mean, Hyde was he was an all-pro in 2017, which was his first year with Buffalo. But then he wasn't an all-pro second team All Pro that year, and
Mhm.
and then him and Poyer were both All Pros. Hyde was a
19,
second
right?
team. Poyer, no, it was 21. It was
Oh,
21. So it
21.
was a 4-year stretch. Yeah, I mean they were on the team for 4 years before they were regarded as. I mean they had been regarded, I think the 2 years before, as a top safety tandem, but it wasn't until that 21 year where it was like, okay, these guys are like the best safety tandem in the league.
Mhm.
But to your point, Paul, I mean it's like, if you put new tires on a shitty car, like, yeah, they're new tires and they probably perform great, but it's not like they're gonna go out and win you the Daytona 500, right? So I mean, two safeties on the back end of a really bad defense, they can only look so good. So I mean, it did take them a few years before they were regarded as a great safety duo, but that didn't mean that they didn't hit the ground and be successful right out of the gate.
Yeah. So as we venture into the following weeks, obviously, guys, we're going to be doing our post games. What's the number one thing? I'll go to Ryan and I'll go to Paul. What's the number one thing you want to see this team do before next week? Like, what's one thing that you want corrected? What's one thing maybe a player added, which I think is highly unlikely. We all agree. But what is one thing that you want to see going into next week? Because honestly, part of me wanted a loss so that they would focus more on the things that they had to do defensively. But then again, you're sitting there going 0-1 against the AFC opponent. No, I don't want to do that. But I'm so
Especially
glad they
that
got the
AFC
win.
opponent.
Yeah, I know they came back. I know they got the win. They showed a lot of resilience on the offensive side of the ball and all that. But there's obviously, within the celebration that happened, there's a lot of holes that need to be patched up before the ship sinks. So what are some of the holes or things that you see, Ryan, that prior to going into the Jets that the Bills have to fix?
I mean, they got to fix this run defense, right? Like, it's not going to get easier next week because Fields and that running game looked really, really good this week. Like, they were one of the better running teams in the NFL this week against Pittsburgh, which is typically a really good run defense, right? They play in that AFC North, and all of those teams can stop the run. And like, Pittsburgh had no answers for Justin Fields and Braylon Allen and Breece Hall. Like, that's a really, really good running team. So if there's one thing that we can take out of this, Mario, is that, yeah, they won the football game, but we know McDermott well enough where he has an issue with the way that defense played. Like, he has to. Like, they got embarrassed in that game, like all the way up and down. You heard it on all of the shows today, right? Like, Rich Eisen talked about it. McAfee talked about it. They talked about it in the post game. Like, Baltimore was embarrassing Buffalo throughout the majority of that game until the fourth quarter, and that switch flipped. And I think McDermott's going to have this team ready to go, but don't get it twisted. Like, the Jets running game is different this year than it was last year. Like, Justin Fields brings a different dynamic than the Jets have had in quite some time. Like, Justin Fields, say what you want about the kid, like, he can ball if he's given the room to run. Like, that's when he's at his best, is if he has room to run. He does a really good job running the football. He does a really good job in RPOs, and he can pass the ball when that doesn't have to be his primary way to move the ball downfield. Like, he's not a bad quarterback if you give him room to run. And if Bills play rush defense like they did last night against Fields and Allen and Breece Hall, like, they're going to be in some trouble next week. I don't think the Jets are good enough to win that football game, regardless of how they run the football. I think that defense in New York is a huge problem for them. Aaron Glenn, I have no idea what he's doing with that defense because it looked bad against Aaron Rodgers. Like, 4 touchdowns from a 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers, or however old he is, right? Like that was just a bad football game all around. But Mario, I mean, they got to fix this run defense, and I think it starts next week with the Jets, because that's another good running team that you can kind of make some adjustments and then see how you perform. It's not like you're going to Miami, right? Like, if you make some fixes on the running game and you go into Miami and you're playing a bad run team, like, how do you know whether your fixes did anything? So I think going into the Jets is really a good test for them to say, let's try and tweak some things, let's move some things around here. Did they run the ball well against us? No, that's a good run defense. Okay, so we kind of fix some things, but that's what they need to do going into next week for me to kind of feel better about where this team is. But I'm just going to say, like, Josh Allen's good enough to go win 17 games this year with this schedule in front of him. Like, if he's going to play every week like he played this week, like, I don't see a team on this schedule that can beat this Buffalo team if Josh is going to play like this every week.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think we should take a bet on what corner they're going to cut to actually sign Prater to the active roster, because he's just on the practice squad, so the Bills actually don't.
Can we injury settlement Bass? Like, can we be done with this thing? Like,
but the reality is he's on IR, so they've already filled his roster spot, right? So
no, I get that, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying, just in general, like, can we be done with
so
Bass?
the Bills are carrying 9 cornerbacks right now. 9 designated corners, because I love on the Bills roster they list cornerbacks and then defensive backs and then safety separately. So like the Bills are carrying 9 corners at this point. You're going to end up having to cut one of them in order to sign an actual kicker to this roster. I think Prater's obviously going to stick around. I don't disagree with them signing him to the practice squad, because he could show up, be an absolute shell of the player that he was, and you say, yeah, we're not going to do this again next week, right?
Yeah.
Like, we can't do that, especially since, and Mario, you and I have talked about this, veteran players, their contracts guarantee if they're on the roster week 1. So you can get past Prater being a vested veteran, guaranteeing his, by guaranteeing his salary for the year by putting him on the practice squad. So I think now that we're at week 2, you actually see Prater signed. So that means they're going to have to let somebody go. I'm guessing it'll probably be like Sam Franklin or somebody like that, right? Some bottom of the roster defensive back. But as far as other things,
Franklin was a gunner last night, though. Like that matters to McDermott. So
you can take Reggie Gilliam off. That's fine.
Oh yeah, I mean that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Let's do that. Let's do that. But as far as things
it'll
that
probably
need
be
to
Jordan.
change,
Yeah.
I think to Ryan's point, right? The Jets are going to give you a different look. I think this linebacker core will hold up better against having to deal with Justin Fields than having to deal with Derrick Henry / Lamar Jackson, right? So I just don't really think it's the same type of challenge. I think the Bills' weaknesses are going to get covered up a little bit. This was the best, worst loss you could have, right? Like everybody knows it didn't go well, but you still won, and everybody's still happy that you won because you had insurmountable odds with 4 minutes left in the game, right? So
99.1%.
Yeah, that's what I mean, right? Even after the tipped Keon touchdown, the Bills still only had a 5% chance of winning that game by win probability, right? So, which is nothing. That's highly, highly, highly unlikely. So it was the best, worst loss that you can have. I don't think there's anything you could do to hurt your defense right now, right? I don't think you could make it much worse given what you just saw. So to me, any change is a good change. I don't even care what it is, right? Like I
think the question,
I don't even know where to start.
Yeah, I mean, the question is, Mario, like Dorian Strong played so well. Like, do you consider just throwing Trey on IR, like at this point, to free up a roster spot and not have to cut somebody?
You could for 4
because he's already missed 1, right? So Paul, he'd only have to miss 3 more, right? He doesn't have to miss 4 from the time he goes on IR. Don't they go retro back since he was inactive for the first game?
I think so.
If we're going on snap counts from game 1, I just want to put that. I got it right in front of me, guys. With 9, 3 on offense, 6 on special teams was Alec Anderson. You're not cutting him. Ryan Vandemark had 6, which is the lowest total. They were all on special teams.
Vandemark's on field goal unit.
He's a field goal unit.
Probably what that is.
The other player that had the least amount of snaps with 7, all on special teams, was DeMar Hamlin.
Oh God, can you imagine?
He played 7 plays, all on special teams. I'm just putting it out there.
He's probably on field goal unit or field goal block.
So if you're bringing Trey back or thinking of bringing Trey back, and I don't know.
Well, Trey's on the 53, so like you don't need to. You're talking about just somebody being inactive.
Yeah,
right?
he's only being inactive for Prater. Right? I'm sorry, for Prater.
Yeah.
So
Curtis Samuel. Yeah, Garn just brought it up in the chat, but he was another one that I was thinking of, right? Like Curtis Samuel, does he go on IR? I think he was on the injury report this week, right? I don't know that he was necessarily a healthy scratch.
He just came up on it, I believe.
Yeah, he cropped up Thursday, I think, Thursday or Friday. He was
on a likely excuse.
Yeah, a likely story, my friend. Yeah.
Well, the Bill Belichick the other one thing for IRs, he used to put like 27 people on the IR and then
Yeah,
Signing
wasn't it
the
Brady
other
had a
thing-
shoulder from like 2012? He just had a shoulder.
Yeah.
2012.
He
to
was always
20.
on it.
I mean, the other there's two other guys that you kind of look at too, Mario, where Joe Andreessen, I don't know that he got any snaps. Was he inactive?
No,
last
he had
night?
a tackle. He had a tackle.
28. He had 28 special team snaps.
Yeah,
Special
he
team
did have a
snaps.
tackle.
Yeah, yeah.
God,
And then the other one
28
is-
special team snaps.
For Joe. Yep.
And the other one is
28
Jack Thompson.
Special team snaps.
Shaq Thompson had 15 special team snaps. So,
Hmm.
yeah, you go down the list. I mean, you talk about Franklin. He had 22 on special teams. Cam Lewis had 23 and 9 on defense. And he's one of your, crucial backups that you have in there. Brandon Codrington, he had 11 on special teams, but you're not, obviously. Our Ingram had 10 on special teams. So,
Ingram's an interesting name.
Ingram,
I think was strong. Was strong
there,
playing
yeah.
well.
Yeah.
You've got Max Harrison that's going to be coming back in 3 weeks. You got Trey White that by and large, was maybe a game time decision this week.
yeah,
Ingram's interesting.
I wouldn't be surprised if Hamlin's the guy. That just okay. Thanks for coming.
No.
Yeah,
way.
I mean, but does that force Cam Lewis into a situation, or is that Franklin that you're thinking of becomes the force safety in that scenario?
Franklin, yeah, sorry, Franklin.
Yeah.
He tripled DeMar Hamlin's snaps on special teams, though. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, do you want to put Hamlin there and send Franklin down? No one's touching Hamlin, guys. If you send him down to practice squad.
Can we just talk for a second about the fact that run with me on this one, right? Like,
Yes.
does that force Cam Lewis into playing safety? Cam Lewis is 5'9" and Sam Franklin is 6'3". Who do you think is going to play safety? Like, I'm just throwing that out.
They've been trying to make Cam Lewis a safety for the last 3 seasons, though.
I know.
They've been trying so hard, and then Teron Johnson goes down. They're like, well, Cam, get back out there, kid.
That dream should have ended when he got mossed by Justin Jefferson.
That was so bad.
Or hear me out. Do we make Trey White a safety?
You stop it right now.
Somebody shoot me into the sun.
You stop. Don't tease me like that, Ryan. That's not how this works. I will.
I think it's interesting. I think, Paul, to your point, like they probably get one more week out of Prater calling him up, and then they have to make a decision from there because they can't. It's only the 2, right? And then they got to make a decision on him. So, and if Bass is on IR,
longer than that. Yes, right.
You guys see that picture that's floating around of Prater on the sideline that they showed? The people are talking about, like, there were 2 memes that really stuck out. Number one that says, Matt Prater looks like if Buffalo was a person. Like when he was on the side. The other one was Matt Prater looks like he just wrote an alimony check when he was on the sidelines with his hair all messed up and everything.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where if you didn't know who he was, you'd be like, wow, who's that biology teacher kicking for the Bills tonight? Right?
Yeah. Meanwhile, anyone who's like a fantasy football nut is like, hey, Matt Prater, all right. Feeling pretty good about our chances with Matt Prater, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as they signed him, I was like, I didn't realize that he wasn't I didn't realize he wasn't with a team. And 2, I didn't realize that he was 41 years old. Like, it just seemed like he's been kicking forever, but it's like, that doesn't matter for kickers, right? Like, I mean, how long did Janikowski kick for? Like, how long did, Gostowski kicked until he was 43 years old or something? Like, these guys just go out and just,
those are 2
as long as you
boys.
can hit a golf ball, you can kick a field goal. So, like, as long as you don't get the yips.
Polish kickers in the history of the game.
He picks the 2. And then Paul just starts smiling from ear to ear. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, Hashtag Nation, thank you for joining us for the post game. Obviously, all of our stuff's on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We had our special guest, one of 400,000 people that are going to say they were at that game last night. Just remember that. Ryan Lasel was there watching it live. I got my heterosexual life mate, Paul, helping me out as well. We're going to try to get you guys some episodes.
Blew this game.
Yeah.
The Bears blew this game.
We're going to try to get to you some episodes this week, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for hanging with us. And as always, go Bills.
Hello, fellow Bills fans. Sean Rogers, Realtor and lead of the Mr. Rogers Homes team. Did you know that real estate is one of the best ways to build wealth, and right now is one of the best times to own an investment property in Arizona? Please reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions so we can take the next step to your financial freedom here in the Valley of the Sun, utilizing real estate. As always, God bless America and go Buffalo!